into positions of hopelessness and helplessness. The government gives them the drugs, builds bigger prisons, passes a 3-strike law, and then wants us to sing God Bless America. No, no, no. Not God Bless America. God damn America. That's in the Bible for killing innocent people. God damn America for treating us citizens as less than human. God damn America as long as she tries to act like she is God and she is supreme.
And tour. Fuck, we're back. This is Jake, still on the road with Sara June. What's
Hello.
up? Hi, welcome back.
Mic check.
Yeah, we're fucking going. We gotta bang this out in like an hour.
Yeah.
We're good. Speed podcasting on the road.
That's why I'm drinking more coffee.
How is all the... Okay, I feel like the Pacific Northwest is doing stuff to us, and I feel like you're getting really into coffee.
Here's the thing. I drink a lot of coffee and I smoke a lot of weed now that I live on the West Coast.
Okay.
So you and I are basically in this sort of inverse vice relationship where you like alcohol and cigarettes and I like coffee and weed.
Yeah.
And the only thing that destroys you is coffee. And the only thing that destroys me is alcohol.
Yeah.
So, and you know, I tried to smoke cigarettes. I tried to get addicted and I couldn't do it. I got sick immediately. I don't have the constitution for it. But coffee and weed... And so, like, normally those are my vices, and now that we're on the road, I'm indulging.
Okay, I follow. Yeah. It is weird occupying, like, this weird... We're, like, yinning and yanging in this weird thing where, like, I'm operating at night.
Yeah, we're becoming nocturnal, but then also having to drive all day.
Yeah.
So that's where the coffee comes in.
Okay.
And then the weed is to make me smart. And then I also got those mushroom pills, those
Right.
brain pills.
Did those work?
Didn't you feel smarter?
I mean...
I got these pills at the Arcata Food Co-op, and they were like brain on pills, and they're fucking ashwagandha or something stupid.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It was just purple mushrooms.
It's just
inside of
purple mushroom pills, and
inside of
then
it.
I smoked a bunch of weed, so I was like, these pills really feel good.
Wow, you can really taste the pills I bought for 30 cents. You can really feel them.
So hungry because of these 39-cent pills.
All right. Cool. We've made it to Olympia.
We're in Olympia, Washington.
When we rolled in, I started to play the Rancid Olympia song, and I thought, this is corny. This is too on
You
the
also
nose.
said this is corny.
Everyone will hate this, right? But then we went to that coffee shop. I don't know if you noticed this. They were playing that fucking album in that pizza place.
Oh, yeah, it was, what's it called? Outer Space?
Outer Space.
Some fucking pizza. Anyways, it's a space-themed pizzeria. It doesn't matter. We went to get pizza. I did not notice. Old school pizzeria.
Comet Ping Pong Pizza.
Comet Ping Pong.
Comets from space.
We went to Pizzagate, and they were playing Rancid.
Yeah. What's that fucking famous Rancid song? Never
Ruby
mind.
Soho?
Never mind. I was trying to make it about child pornography, but
Ruby Soho? You were trying to make out of child pornography?
I was trying to make a joke where I connected Ruby Soho to child pornography. Mm-hmm. Destination.
I think you can do it.
Destination unknown.
Okay, all right. No.
Did you have one?
We're gonna get it. All right, we'll come back to it.
Well, y'all know about the conspiracy theory that John Podesta's the father of Chester Benningham or something from Lincoln Park.
What?
Yeah. That's it's a fucking awesome conspiracy theory. Yeah.
Damn, I just
they
took some
actually
more
do look really
scribbles.
similar. And Chester Benningham, like I think it was like
Bennington, I believe.
whatever,
Yeah,
fucking
right.
Anglos. Did like I guess have like a lot of like some sort of familial abuse problem supposedly, and so the idea is that they got him, which is cool.
Chester Bennington didn't kill himself. We're Chester Bennington truthers now.
Where's the tape?
He was
Show me the
assassinated
tape of Chester Bennington.
by the Queen of England.
What if this is real? We're joking, but every other thing about Epstein sounds like a joke too.
Every day.
Sorry, I've started both episodes of your podcast by yelling about Jeffrey Epstein.
No, it's the thing of the times.
Yeah.
When we look back on this era, you woke up in the morning, you drank your coffee, and you read some more Epstein news.
And then you thought, what's happening? How's what's going on?
That is definitely like something that would seem unreal, and then it would happen, and then you would go, of course, Chester Bennington was like connected somehow.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right, we're looking at a
they have the
picture of
same
them side by
glasses.
side, and I see a resemblance, certainly. Yeah.
So it's true.
It's not 100%, but there is, I'd buy that guy's one of his sons.
When I found out that Malcolm Gladwell was somewhat connected to the Epstein case, it made perfect sense.
Yeah.
First it was
10,000
weird.
hours on the Lolita Express.
Yeah. 10,000 miles.
I think 10,000 hours is a pilot's license.
10,000 hours is a pilot's license.
I think 10,000 hours is the pedo flight license, you know, where it's like you can fuck kids terrestrial. That's pretty easy, right?
Yeah.
But then you need your
If you do it in the
you
air,
need your
you have to
sea
practice
legs.
for 10,000 hours.
Yeah, really stabilize yourself.
Jeffrey Epstein was a man who likes to challenge himself to fuck kids
Yeah.
on all planes.
My very, very, very sick friend, Malcolm Gladwell. Okay. Let's talk about what we've done so far. We had a good 9/11 yesterday.
Great 9/11.
We played Vomity.
And we got to see some pigs and some cows.
We did.
Not cows, sorry, sheep.
Sheep.
Very different animal.
Boars.
Boars,
Some ducks.
ducks.
That was, but we podcasted about that. Post that, Vomity. There was a great comic named Chocolate the Entertainer.
Yeah, Vomity is a very fun show every Wednesday at La Voyeur in Olympia, and we like to do it.
And then I guess most important Pacific Northwest experience for me was driving out to the woods and shooting guns at just a wall.
Just some dirt.
Just a dirt wall.
Yeah, we went to a dirt pit, and we shot some guns, and it was cool because you can't shoot outside in LA most places. It's expensive.
Yeah.
Should we talk about guns? Do you want to talk about guns, etc.?
I think we should talk about guns, man, because that was like kind of an interesting experience for me. I've shot guns, I grew up in Texas, and you could go to those like ranges where you just shoot like
At a paper
of
an Arab.
Yeah, it was, those papers were always just the black like crash test dummy until like 9/11, and then they were like, you can shoot copyright infringement, Osama bin Laden, so just an Arab guy.
Yeah, I like the ones that are for harder target practice, and it's a picture of like an Arab guy holding a white woman in front of him, and he's trying to use her as a body shield, and so you have to try to shoot him but not shoot her. You know? Those are always very fun.
Yeah, that reminds me of that Simpsons episode where Marge is becoming a cop, and she takes the shooting test, and she like shoots around the person who's being held as a shield. She doesn't shoot the person pushing the baby, and at the end Chief Wiggum's like, you did pretty good, you missed the baby, you missed the blind man. It's like one of my favorite Simpsons jokes ever.
Wow. Good show.
Yeah. Yeah, and then like I guess a few years after all the 9/11 shit, all the other paper targets are just zombies because everyone in real America has the same sense of humor, and they were at the gun store. They still just had like shoot a zombie
Yeah, they
paper
have these
targets.
targets you can shoot at. I mean, they're really small. They're a lot smaller than zombies would be.
Yeah.
Zombies would be human sized. Why get a fucking zombie target? Shoot at a human sized thing.
Well, I guess it's like this makes them harder to shoot small zombies. I don't know. My thing is,
it's fun when you add live ammunition into LARPing.
yeah.
Is it even LARPing then anymore?
It's yeah. It's not live action role playing. It's just live action, baby. I guess what I'm
Live
getting
ammo
at
role playing.
with the paper targets is like it's lame that they are just stuck in 2007 with the zombie thing,
Welcome to America, Jake.
but also it would probably be way more fucked up if they updated them to like whatever shit they hate now. Because
Are you saying that zombies are symbolic of immigrants?
I guess, yeah, or like I mean. Like a current gun culture, there has to be like a shooting range where the targets are like Antifa and just immigrants.
I'm
or
sure
like,
people make things. I don't. I'm not into gun. I'm not a part of gun culture. I can't say.
Yeah, you
but-
don't
but I
appropriate gun culture.
I don't want to steal their valor, and they have so much of it. Yeah, there's probably one. I don't know. I mean, there's probably one where it's just a bunch of fucking women. There's probably a bunch.
Yeah, fuck, there it is.
Yeah, you can get paper targets that are like
That's
a hooded guy in a bandana, and it's like an Antifa guy or whatever.
That's pretty cheaply made though, because you can tell it's just a regular one that they just used MS Paint to like smudge
Yeah.
a red bandana.
There's another
onto.
one that is that black body outline, and then it just has a pussy hat on it. Oh, there's another one, and it's got a Antifa bandana and a pussy hat.
Yeah.
Jake discovered guns and fidget spinners today.
Oh yeah. I'm taking in a lot of culture. My new thing is I'm going to go around to like really pro gun spaces and then show people my revolver, and when they ask to see it, it's the fidget spinner. It's like it revolves. It's a revolver. Shaking her head at the microphone.
I won't say anything.
I'm gonna fight Trump with dad jokes. That's how I'm gonna beat him, with my art. Man, I get it. When you shoot a gun, you feel like, I understand why people are like crazy and fetishize them, because they are fun.
They're really fun, yeah.
There's no denying that shit. It did feel like my dick.
You know, I get in a quandary with this because they're very, very fun, but they're not as much fun as not dying randomly in a public space.
Uh-huh.
But they also feel really good. Also, cops have them.
That's why mass shooters shoot up places. It's because they're having fun.
Yeah, they're having a good time. It's because they're so happy.
They want to have
That's why they kill so many people.
The most fun possible all at once. That's like
they're trying to show us how to have a good time.
Yeah. Yeah, fuck. I don't know. That shit was tight. It was really fun.
It's very fun to shoot guns outdoors, especially when it's at a bunch of cans.
I'm glad we're not doing it anymore, because I was getting a little stressed out at how the mixture of guns and crunchy, like weed-soaked vibes just seems statistically like eventually you'll fucking shoot your toe off or something.
I mean, we weren't stoned, and I would not get stoned and shoot a gun. That sounds like a bad time.
I know, but I don't know.
You're going to smoke weed tonight.
I know, and I'm not going to be anywhere near a gun.
Yeah, no more guns.
Yeah. Anyways.
Everyone's gonna get so mad at you for posing with a gun.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone's gonna get so fucking mad.
Dude, I'm
gonna
shooting
come up with
guns.
some insane theory about, like, you having a gun and, like, becoming the leader of fucking MS-13 or some shit. Like, I don't, you do... You're canceled, is all I'm saying.
Reddit, go fucking crazy with this picture of me with my gun and my fidget spinner. Just do whatever. Connect it to the conspiracy
Jake
theory
about
my
with the gun
head
and then
injury.
Fucking jizzed out a fidget spinner, and he's gonna be the president. That's my new Jake conspiracy theory.
Yeah,
Jake Flores is president.
Manchurian candidate or some shit. I don't know, man. The fidget spinners is the fucking Horcrux.
Yeah, you found a couple Horcruxes this trip.
I don't know who I am anymore. I'm shooting guns and smoking weed. I've been on tour for 1 week. I turned into the guy from Tool or some shit. Yeah.
I got you out of New York and you just immediately dissolved. You're just being held together with tar.
I turned into a sovereign citizen. You can't take my weed or my guns.
I liberated you.
Yeah. I'm never coming back. I'm building a fucking compound. Yeah, tonight I'm going to smoke weed. This is something I've been fixated on for the entire trip.
Yeah, I booked this show without realizing that Jake didn't really smoke weed ever.
Yeah.
For personality reasons. I was like, oh, Jake probably has. I don't know. I just assumed. I was like, Jake clearly is not a stoner, but I didn't think that it was going to be like an issue, which is why I didn't tell you until later. And then you were like, oh, I actually don't do that.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like every once in a while I get a panic attack, but honestly, like, I'm feeling the crunchy vibes out here, and I think what's going to happen is, like, I'll just get really tired really quick. Here's what happened last time I smoked weed. Like, once a year, I'll forget that I'm not good at weed, and I'll be like, all right, I'm going to fucking do it.
Yeah. Like how once a year I drink, and then I'm like, this was stupid.
Right. And how once a week I do cocaine, and then have the entire cycle happen over again. So I was walking back to my place. When I lived at the Sandstone in Austin, everyone lived at the Sandstone, right?
I lived at Sandstone later, but yeah.
My apartment was in the Sandstone, and so somebody else was having a party at the... So I was like...
Who was having a party?
I think it was Chris Tellas' place. And I was like, this is literally like 3 doors down from where I live.
Yeah.
I can get high, and if it sucks, I can just walk 3 doors down.
Perfect
or go home.
situation.
So I go in, and I'm like, all right, I'm going to do it. I'm going to smoke the one weed of the year or whatever. And I take a big fucking rip from like a bong or something. And I was like, immediately upon exhaling, I was like, I'm going home. It's like, it's like a social anxiety thing. Like it just
You ever
makes.
do psychedelics?
Yeah, I love them.
Okay.
Yeah, it's weird.
All right.
They like push me over the edge where I'm just this is happening, right?
Yeah.
But I was immediately just like, parties are already like, just they suck. You're
Yep.
just like, what do I do with my hands the whole time?
Yeah.
So I was like,
Where's my
okay,
mic?
This is like no good. So I went home and I was like, all right, well, I'm stoned. And Game of Thrones, there's a new Game of Thrones out that night, and it was when it was good.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, at least this will be kind of cool. Like I'll watch this mega violent show and like it'll be
Get into it.
really, it'll pop real hard.
Yeah.
But first, I'm gonna pop a bag of popcorn and listen to an episode of WTF with Mark Maron. And so I put on my headphones, and Maron was doing Maron shit at me, and he was stressing me out real bad
Because he was yelling at you.
Well, because he's just like, yeah,
he's yelling at you.
He's anxious and he's yelling. Yeah, he doesn't.
That's why I can't listen to his podcast. I can get a man to yell at me for free.
Hey, put that on a bumper sticker. This is why I don't listen to podcasts. I can get a white man to yell at me for free. So he was stressing me out. And I guess the bag of popcorn takes like 3 minutes to pop, but I was like doing the thing where you stare at the microwave and like can't watch the numbers. I was just like, man, and I fucking couldn't take it anymore. And then I went into my bedroom and was going to put on the TV. Next thing I know, I woke up the next day.
You were high for 3 minutes.
For 3 minutes, and then I fucking woke up the next day. And my shoes, I was out of my shoes. My shoes were on the ground, but the laces were still tied. Like I got raptured out of them. I don't know how I got them off my feet.
You fell backwards out of your shoes like a cartoon character directly onto the bed.
Yeah.
And then when you snored, a little log appeared and with a little saw through it.
Yeah. Anyway, that's what's going to happen tonight at Club Comedy, baby.
Seattle.
But this will have probably come out after that. Anyway, tour. Come see me in Michigan, Colorado. Okay, we should probably get into it. We hit a few of the main things up here in this corner of the country, right? Weed, farms, guns, and now the fourth,
Nazis.
Let's talk about why there are so many Nazis in this peaceful forest.
Yeah.
There's the Decemberists and Nazis and coffee.
And why?
Yeah, let's get into it.
I'm going to hand the mic over.
With our guest.
Oh, wait. No.
Oh, right.
Here, I got if y'all have another place to put in an audio jack, I have my own.
All right. I'm here with Saul.
Saul. Yeah, that's my name.
Yeah. They'll never figure this one out.
No. I have not already been doxxed by 4chan.
Right. We are not going to win the fight against everything. I'm over here stimming with a gun, just rotating a revolver to soothe my autism. We're all wearing...
I culturally Marx radicalized you. I radicalized you with cultural Marxism. You had already been radicalized by economic Marxism, but I really got you with the cultural stuff.
Yeah, we got the good shit over on this coast, all that cultural shit.
Yeah, I'm glad we went to the Marxist festival in the park and took in all the culture. Watched a large man with a Karl Marx beard dancing around, playing drums. All right, so I guess here's what we're gonna do. Explain to me why there's so many fucking Nazis up here.
Why there are all these Nazis up here? Yeah, all right, I can do that. So to really give you a true taste of the Pacific Northwest, I'm going to do a thing that we do at almost everything at Evergreen, which is where I graduated from, which is realizing that Olympia is actually on ceded Squaxin and Nisqually land. So, this shit is already colonized as fuck, right? So
sure. So you're saying it's haunted?
It's a giant Indian burial ground. Yeah. So, the big Nazi things, I'd say, and this is totally just my arbitrary number, is that white supremacy really arrived in the Pacific Northwest on October 16th, 1805. Which is when Lewis and Clark first came upon the Columbia River over in eastern Washington.
Okay.
They had been, traveling through, thanks to Thomas Jefferson acquiring a bunch of land.
And they were probably under a lot of stress because Halloween was in 2 weeks. And you always forget to get a costume.
Yeah, and where are you going to go? Where are you going to go for a costume out in the middle of the great Pacific Northwest?
You're going to go to that fucking spirit store in Manhattan and get into a really huge fight with your girlfriend. Okay.
And when I was just doing the little bit of research on it, I really liked that apparently Clark wrote as soon as he saw the Columbia, which is huge, ocean in view, oh, the joy, which, is because he's like mad stupid, and I'm like way fucking smarter and heroic than that dumbass who thought that the fucking river was the ocean. People, to paraphrase Steven Pinker, everyone 100 years ago was pretty much retarded. Swear to God, actual quote.
What else did he say?
I
like to fuck kids.
Yeah, and I have a small dick, and I'm gay. Yeah, those are all Steve Pinker quotes. Yeah. He had a dewdrop dick, too. Electric boogaloo. Yeah, so that's right, kind of when it started. And from there, it only got worse. Portland, Oregon, Oregon State, Oregon Territory, is the one and only explicitly racist state in the country, which is great. Like, not even the South had the just bad.
What do you mean
racial
by
laws.
like this? And at the time, I think it was a Settlers of Catan hexagon that hadn't been shaped into Oregon yet. What do you mean that it was explicitly racist as opposed to like
implicitly or kind of functionally racist?
Yeah.
So in 1844, the provisional government of Oregon passed a law that explicitly excluded black settlers from entering or staying within the state. If you were there for every 6 months that you were black in Oregon, you would get, and it gets very legalese here, no more than 20, but no more than 39 lashes for being in the state. And that was passed in 1844, and then they passed a few other laws later, 5-10 years later, and they repealed them, fun fact, 1926.
Oh.
Yeah, very big-brained of them. Yeah, and the Klan was actually huge out west, too, which people always think of it as a southern organization, but Indiana had a huge Klan. Out here had a massive Klan in the 20s and 30s as well.
Can you talk about the idea of the Great White North and the sort of white utopia that is the basis of a lot of the neo-Nazi activity out here?
Yeah. So, pretty much because of this explicit racism.
That was making a weird sound.
Yeah. Well, pretty much because of the explicit racism in Oregon, one, like a lot of the black settlers would end up here, so there's a few. Sorry, small digression, yeah. The few towns, Tumwater was one of the first cities founded in Washington State. It was founded by a black guy, and Centralia also founded by a black guy, who both ended up in Oregon. Were like, oh, I have to leave, and started cities in Washington. So Washington, better than Oregon. Yeah, but it became pretty much this idea of this like white ethnic homeland. I mean, starts with Oregon as a territory. Like, they wanted this like white working man's place. They didn't want slavery. They're anti-slavery, but also just anti having black people around. So that's kind of where it started. But then it really got kind of codified into what is kind of called the Northwest Territorial. The Northwest Territorial Imperative. That got kind of really big in the 70s and 80s, more so.
It'd be funny if you were playing Oregon Trail and it was just like, you are black. Just game over.
Oh, man. Fucking Oregon Trail. I always died in that game. Yeah.
My main problem in Oregon Trail was I would always get excited about hunting meat, and I would hunt too much meat and then only be able to take some of it back to my wagon, and then I was out of bullets, and then everybody starved. But yeah, you spend fucking weeks playing Oregon Trail, and then you get there, and it's just like you have to leave your plaque.
Yeah.
You're not allowed to beat the game.
You don't even realize it until you get there
Yeah,
either, because it's
exactly.
all first person. And then they're, get out of here.
Damn.
Yeah, only more passive aggressive-y.
So this is just like a larger sort of manifest destiny thing. The idea that like we're white and Anglo, and God wants us to have this whole big piece of land.
Yeah.
And especially he wants. I mean, it's so funny that they wanted it to be a white homeland because they're literally just settlers. Like it was already someone's homeland, and clearly not them.
Yeah, but were they white? Because if they weren't white, then it's going to be a terrible white homeland.
It was a house land, and
Yeah.
white people made it a home.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. They hung up some knickknacks and shit like that.
Yeah.
Some homespun fucking pillows. I don't know.
Everyone hates white nationalists until they bring baked goods.
But yeah, so the 70s and the 80s is really kind of when the whole white nationalist Northwest imperative thing got super big. That kind of would include both the Pacific, Oregon, Washington, but it goes all the way into sometimes Montana even, or Wyoming, which is like they could have Wyoming or whatever. Like,
Yeah.
I don't give a shit. Just blow it up as soon as they get there. But yeah, so big in the 70s and 80s because they decided that, like you couldn't do the South because it was like 20% black, and couldn't do the East Coast because Chinese people even. It's terrible, So you had to come out here because they're fucking mad racist up in it.
Okay, so like white supremacists were just like, well, we'll just take like the corner piece of the chessboard.
It's the whitest part of the country, so we'll just move there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. Which
They were
is
trying to occupy a place that was where it would be like the least bloody possible, but still like point of it being a white ethno state.
yeah,
Like it's weird.
least amount of energy to expend
Yeah.
Yeah, and the idea was like, yeah, you'd move out here and you'd all buy territory, and then you'd have 5 to 10 kids.
Right.
So they really wanted to lock that in, just like reproducing, making as many crackers as possible. They were all talking about it. So the Klan, they were kind of into it. It was more of a neo-Nazi thing, because the Klan, there's actually this weird, and you can even get this in Oregon, like, or Washington. There is like a weird rural-urban divide in between neo-Nazis and the Klan. Yeah, like even you can see that like as they interact with each other, because Nazis are urban and the Klan are rural. Yeah, it's and they like shit on each other for like being hicks or whatever.
Oh, there's a sitcom.
Yeah.
Coming to NBC. Country Mouse, City Mouse. Yeah. But they're both white mice.
And they learn a wholesome lesson at the end of every episode.
Yeah.
Like, well, I guess we're not that different. Both just filled with an irrational and deep hatred and fear of the other. You said it, brother. And then they hug and kiss.
That was basically King of the Hill. Okay, so
Yeah, so kind of a big idea in the 70s and 80s when a lot of the cities were like falling apart. But it really started picking up with the foundation of the Order, which was a white supremacist terrorist organization.
Okay.
That are, pretty famous. There's a fair amount of important people that were from it. Specifically, David Lane, who's the guy that invented both the 14 words, which is the like we must ensure homeland for the blah blah blah.
yeah, some dumb shit about their kids.
Yeah, I know. It's so pathetic. Losers. Yeah, and then also the 88. So he actually, the Order, one of the guys
So
founded.
David Lane's the one that came up with all like the fun like riddle shit.
Yeah.
That aspect of white supremacism.
Yeah.
It's like we're gonna like sneak in little puzzles to
The Riddler shit, yeah.
Yeah. Ah, Batman.
Quizzle me this, Batman.
How will we protect our children, Batman, from outside forces?
Well, I mean, it makes sense to leave Gotham. Like, Gotham apparently is just overrun by crazy-ass domestic terrorists every, 3 weeks. I'm surprised anyone lives in Gotham in the first place.
Why?
I bet the rent is fucking awesome, though. Like, if you're, constantly on the edge of being, drugged by a neurotoxin or, killed by
Yeah.
a
Gotham,
guy in a unitard.
Gotham DSA, get on this. It's a mental illness issue.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so the order was around for about a year and a half, from September of 1983 to December of 1984.
It's Batman decoding a huge puzzle, and he's just like, it just says the Jews. What does this mean? Where's Rachel? It just says Jews will not replace us.
Why do they keep putting echoes around my name? Batman, it's not Jewish.
It's like, that's because you got a secret identity, so just assume.
Yeah, exactly.
He doesn't want to give up his secret identity, but he's like, I'm not.
Come on. I came here on the Mayflower. My family's old money. Yeah, so the Order were pretty famous. They robbed a bunch of banks. Their first robbery is my favorite, which is that they robbed an adult bookstore. and then they only stole $350, and they're like, "This is dangerous."
Smut heist.
Yeah, who knows how many magazines they got though?
I can't believe that hasn't been a Batman storyline. The heist of an adult bookstore.
Oh man.
Yeah. So they ended up robbing a bunch of armored cars, and they stole $3.6 million from a Brinks car at one point.
Wow.
Which would be cool if they weren't fascists.
What did they do with it?
They bought guns and property, and then they also were counterfeiting a bunch of money, so I assume that they invested in that.
Oh, they
Yeah.
just hoarded fidget spinners.
Yeah, exactly. They both invented and then hoarded them. That's why they've only been released to the mass market now.
Yeah.
But their fidget spinners had 4 points and
right.
more
It's
angular.
A swastika. Yeah,
exactly.
Fidget spinner.
That's really cool, you know?
Yeah, it's just so calming.
Yeah, and then they're most famous for the assassination of Alan Berg, who was a Jewish liberal, kind of antagonistic radio show host, who they shot to death in Denver on June 18th, 1984. Because he really hated Nazis and would argue with them, and they were like, "Uh-oh, it's a Jewish guy on the radio."
Yeah, we better stop him from being on the
radio. Because, I mean, the Jews control all of the media, but this one guy, you know...
You can only get pissed off and shoot a radio so many times before you figure out that won't stop the guy from talking.
Yeah, but some people it takes a little bit longer than others because Nazis are stupid.
They're a bunch of fat Elvises, I tell you.
You leave Elvis out of this.
Fair.
The other big event, and then another big event was the killing of Robert J. Matthews. He founded the Order, and he was a Christian identity, which is a form of like fascism, white supremacy, where you think that the actual Jews are white, and that the Jews, the Jews that control the media, are fake Jews. Yeah, straight up, yeah. So Jesus is white, and then the Jews pretending to be, but actually white people are the real Jews or real Christians, because they're crazy people. Okay. Yeah, so he ended up getting killed in the end of 1984, December 1984, which is kind of the end of the Order, by the FBI on Whidbey Island, which is an island in the Sound of Washington State. And now Nazis every year go out to Whidbey Island on December 8th to hang out and memorialize him. Yeah.
Fun.
Yeah, it's always fun. Knowing that they're all out there. It's kind of nice to know that for at least one day of the year, they're all have left Seattle.
Oh, that is cool.
Go have a barbecue.
Yeah. like when you live in a college town and then it's summertime.
And all the adults leave.
Yeah, baby.
Kids rule. Yeah. And then the other big kind of event in white supremacy in the Pacific Northwest was in the 90s, was Ruby Ridge, where in Naples, Idaho, from August 21st to August 31st, 1992.
Destination unknown. Ruby, 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 Ruby Ridge. I got it.
Using all the brain juices. Yeah, so it was Randy
All right,
Weaver.
so a lot of people died.
Only like one FBI guy, and then they shot Randy Weaver, who's this Nazi guy. They shot his wife to death, and then they shot him in like the side, and they shot his dog because fucking federal agents love shooting dogs.
Right.
That's what all of their targets actually look like. They don't train with that Osama shit. It's just like poodles.
Yeah. It's just a
Shiba Inus.
pleasant-looking dog.
Yeah, just like a curious-looking dog, with the head. Yeah. Ah!
There's a fucking person running away as they're unarmed.
Oh shit! Printing out targets of joggers actually does. I fucking hate joggers. As a smoker, I feel personally violated whenever they fucking run by me.
Yeah, well, why don't you go catch them?
I'll catch them when they come around again. Yeah, pretty much it was this guy. He was in the U.S. Randy Weaver. He was in the U.S. Engineer Corps. Left to train in Idaho to do criminal investigation because he wanted to be an FBI agent, and then decided that college was too expensive. And then, also he was another Mormon. There's like a lot of Mormon white supremacy up here.
Sure.
Because I mean, come on, the Mormons are so perfect. Not crazy people. And it's not just steampunk Scientology either. Yeah, and he ended up, he had a compound that he lived in with his family. They were homeschooling her kids. FBI agents kind of entrap him and get him to sell the FBI a sawed-off shotgun that he made, and then he didn't show up to court. And so they show up at his place at Ruby Ridge. 11-day standoff, shootout, that kind of stuff. And that...
He was inspired by the Turner Diaries, right?
Yeah, he was a Turner Diaries guy. They're all Turner Diaries guys.
Well,
Especially the Order is really into them. That's one of the fundraising things.
The Turner Diaries is really funny because it sounds like a soap opera. But it's a very terrible piece of literature.
Yeah. Yeah, so I guess the Turner Diaries, because... not everyone's a Nazi nerd like I am.
A nerd
not
about
a nerd.
Nazis.
Yeah, well, a Nazi that is a nerd would be a nerd Nazi, not a Nazi nerd.
Fair.
Yeah, that's how English works.
Saul.
Yeah, yeah, Saul, not Sol, because there is another Saul Invictus who is actually pretty fashy, who's running for like San Jose.
Oh, you gotta go fight him.
Something. No, I'm okay.
Anyway.
Yeah, so the Turner Diaries is a classic piece of white nationalist propaganda, and it's kind of it's supposed to be like a novelization where a bunch of white supremacists overthrow the ZOG, the Zionist-occupied government, so the U.S. government. But it's also kind of a guerrilla how-to manual, like... he like talks about how to make explosives and how to do guerrilla warfare. So it's like an informational thing as well as a novel, but it can kind of...
It's one of those books you find in Fallout that gives you stats. It's all the bad ones.
Yeah. Yeah, so they were all pretty inspired by this because they all fundamentally in the end wanted to use the Northwest as a base of operations to overthrow the federal government. The idea was like, well, if the Vietnamese could hold us off, like the U.S. government off, if we live in the Pacific Northwest, it's super rugged. We can maybe overthrow this ZOG.
Sure. Okay. So the guys from Green Room considered themselves to be the same as the Viet Cong.
Yeah.
Fair.
Yeah. Oh shit, I forgot about that. God damn it, that movie pissed me off so much.
Really? Why?
Because they were just so fucking stupid. They're just really dumb.
Oh,
and
it's frustrating to watch.
Yeah.
People just fuck themselves more and more and more.
Yeah. I don't know. You know, you show up to a fucking event and you're like, oh wow, there's a lot of young men that are all prematurely balding here. They're like, maybe you should just leave. Maybe they're all scary Nazis.
Yeah, well, that's the life of a performer, eh, Sarah?
Yeah, where are y'all going tonight?
The town from Green Room. The club from Green Room. We're just going to change our material to be pro-Nazi because that's also what you have to do when you're a comedian.
Yeah.
I'm really trying to get my career off the ground, so I'm considering becoming an alt-right gun girl, you know, just becoming one of those alt-right babes and, you know, wearing flag underwear and...
I mean, that's amazing. They
putting guns in my pants and fucking...
Well, he did that earlier today, and it felt sick.
I gotta say, it felt like me.
Yeah.
It felt like finally being me. And then, I'm going to talk about how the left was, you know, it was too... They really just fucking... They didn't let me say the words that I like to say. And I had to leave.
Skewer them.
Yeah.
I had to leave because they kept saying, don't say this, don't say that. And I said, well, this is... I don't have any rights here.
Yeah, if you're gonna tell me what I can't say,
you're gonna say what I can't say, I'm gonna be a Nazi.
Yeah, exactly.
That's all there is to it. So I'm gonna do that, and then once I get on all the, you know, I'll go on Fox News again, you know, and I'll be like, oh, I'm back, and I hate communists now, you know, and they'll be like, yeah, and use me, and then I'll make another flip. And I'll be
radical centrist? Do you just want to grill?
Yeah, well, no, I'm going back to left, and I'm like, fuck you, haha, you suck, you're wrong, you know, and like, they're all punked.
I'm not a Nazi.
And then, by that point, I'll be rich, so I'll have to become a centrist.
Dynamite plan.
Hail the radical centrist, the bravest of all.
The real Nazis.
You know, I feel like no commitments is a real heroic stance to have in such a commitment-filled world that we have.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and so Ruby Ridge is weird because Randy Weaver ended up going to jail for 18 months. And then, since then, has fleeced almost... $3.5 million from the federal government for like civil rights stuff because they did kind of show up and like shoot his wife and dog and him.
The officer that shot him was not following protocol, so it was a big like black eye for them.
Yeah,
I read a book from their perspective. It was really interesting.
It wasn't following protocol. I guess the 90s you weren't supposed to bash the fash.
I can't remember exactly how it went down. It was like a woman that shot him. It was really weird. But, you know, big mess all around, I suppose.
Yeah, a lot of blood. And then $3.5 million.
Yeah.
Which sucks. It really sucks that the federal government had to pay a Nazi.
Yep.
I mean, I guess they actually spend a lot of time paying out Nazis internationally, so... But still, at home, feels weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then, you know, now we have kind of this resurgent, you know, we got a lot of Proud Boys up here. Portland has been a huge epicenter of a lot of, like, Antifa kind of violence and actions.
Okay. Interesting. So that brings us up to, today, which we don't really need to go through super hard because everybody's probably kind of up to... We all know Gavin McInnes, Proud Boys, you know... Andy No, concrete milkshakes and all that shit.
Yeah, I'm pretty into the milkshake replacing the Molotov cocktail. It's like the true symbol of radical, left-wing radical violence. Very cool. Reactionaries are in no way just kind of sniveling, pathetic cowards. Yeah, so there's been Portland's been a huge epicenter of this kind of stuff. And then Patriot Prayer shows up at Evergreen campus like pretty regularly to
hashtag I stand with PP.
Yeah, and they just like showing up and telling all of the queer folks that they're going to burn in fire, and it's really cool. And then being like, we're so victimized by this society that we're straight people.
Yeah.
One of the craziest things, and this is never talked about, but at one of the Portland protests last year, it turns out a bunch of like the Patriot Prayer like adjacent groups went to the top of a parking structure downtown Portland and set up fire shooting positions. Yeah. To like overlook the protests.
Jesus.
And the police knew about it, and the head of the police is technically the mayor in Oregon, in Portland.
Okay.
And they didn't tell him for months that they had found a shooting position. Yeah.
They didn't tell Captain Beefheart that?
Yeah.
I'm assuming
It's a good level of shock you got on your face, Sarah.
They didn't say that. They didn't tell that to Mayor Polinick.
I'm a little confused. So they found them there, and then they were like, did they make them leave? Yeah. Like, or
get out of here.
Hey, you kids, get out of here.
No. It sounds like the police knew that Patriot Prayer was posted up, but the police
They just let them do it, and then
let
didn't
them
say
do it,
anything.
and then they didn't tell the fucking mayor until
Great.
after.
Cool.
Oh, by the way,
Yeah, I mean, this is one of those. Like, there are a lot of places where anti-fascist action never sees violence, and could be called LARPing, but I don't think Portland is one of them, honestly.
The funny thing about the way everyone feels about Antifa shit online is that it ebbs and flows depending on like when actual shit is going down, and when these actions happen. The day of, everyone whose politics are based on cringe aesthetics and shit like that are like, okay, well, actually, now I think it's fine, but just don't be a dork about it. And then when it goes away long enough, the fucking shitheads are like, they just go back to just being like, you're a fucking dork.
I mean, if you have been in a place on the West Coast where there's a fucking Proud Boy rally, which I have, and most people that live in the Pacific Northwest at this point have, it's like you gotta walk around with something. There's a bunch of guys walking around wearing shirts about how they want you to die, and they're carrying weapons.
Yeah.
And there's no police, and everybody's fighting. Like,
the other thing is like
it looks dumb if you see a picture of it. Like when you're in the fucking street and people are just fighting, it's like,
yeah.
What do you want me to do?
Well, if in some abstraction on the internet, taken in a picture and taken out of context and taken out of the fucking way it actually feels to be at one of these things, you can make it look dorky and fucking lame. So I don't care, because my politics aren't based on what's fucking cool.
Yeah.
That is lame as shit.
Everybody that is prepared to get fucked with looks stupid unless they get fucked with.
Yeah.
If you're carrying all the tools, like, you look stupid if you're carrying all the shit to go camping and then you don't go camping,
Yeah.
But, like, what if you had to go camping?
Yeah.
Does this make sense?
Yeah.
All right.
I'm sorry, I just started thinking about that banana block, and I was like,
What
they're doing it
banana block?
right.
What are you talking about?
The last time Proud Boys and fucking everyone clashed, there was a, what a block is.
Yeah.
Black blocks, everyone's wearing black.
Yeah.
There were a bunch of people wearing banana suits playing like trumpets and trombones
Wow.
and shit, and it was like kind of
It's to be stupid.
I think it kind of like fixed this problem. It was
Yeah.
just like, this is dumb as shit.
Yeah. Because at those things, everyone's looking around trying to figure out what side you're on,
Yeah.
and you see someone wearing a banana suit, and you're like, well, they're not a Nazi, but I'm not sure what they are. What the fuck's going on?
Well, they just made a lot of noise and fucking blocked everyone out, and they were bananas. And it was like, it didn't. I think it solved maybe the problem of fucking, shitty reactionary left and right people going like, this is cringe, like this is lame. You were out there trying to be a ninja, and the guy's like, no, I'm a banana. Like, it's like, of course he's not taking this seriously. He's just doing the thing, This is a pro banana banana block podcast.
Yeah.
If you were a banana, I'm coming to Portland. Come on the show.
Yeah. So another thing that there's been a lot of photos of in like Portland and stuff up here is the like alt-right people helping out the police. Have y'all seen that?
Yeah, of
the
course.
Police, yeah, like getting their handcuffs out for them and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The,
like,
the
left and right.
absolute fucking lamest dudes in society are the people who are like, I'm the police's little helper.
Yeah, I'm considered too emotionally unstable to be a police officer, but they'll let me touch their zip ties.
Yeah, and like they appreciate us.
Yeah.
We provided aid to them. There's
Permission to suck your dick, sir.
there's a paramilitary sort of police, like private police force that's just quote unquote security in Denver that I discovered a while back called Front Range Patrol, and like it's hilarious. Their website's fucking great. I talked about it on the show a little bit, but they have like it's just all fat guys who can't be cops.
Yeah,
and in their training ground, like behind their building, they have those those things when you're like a samurai and you want to train to fight. It's like a wooden rotating thing with
with the arms
with little sandbags on it and shit that they used to train to fight homeless people. And all their videos are just them bothering homeless people because of the way the laws are set up there. And then they all end with them chasing someone down, tackling them, and then calling the real police. It's so fucking dumb.
Yeah, I mean, talking about fighting stuff and the police, this is not related to fascists at all, but another reason that Washington State is better than Oregon is mutual combat laws, which I was telling you about.
Yes.
Where there's just a hell of a lot of videos of like drunk people in Seattle like trying to get into fights with each other, and then the police show up and they're like, whoa, what's up, boys? And then they're like, officer, mutual combat laws, you have to stand down. We've already agreed that we're like not going to bite each other's nuts off or like choke each other to death. And then the cops just like, all right, mutual combat. And then they just take a step back and you just watch drunk people beat the shit out of each other.
Just to be clear, what we're talking about is there's a old school law still on the books in Washington that it is legal if it's mutually consensual for two dudes to just beat the shit out of each other like duel style. The cop can't get involved because you stop and you go mutual combat and you show them your little libertarian papers or whatever.
Am I being detained?
But that's so fucking funny.
I
Just
really
Street Fighter characters running around up here.
I just always wish that whoever lost got arrested by the police. It was like old school, like Norse law. Like if you lost the duel, you were obviously like unfavored by Odin and the guilty party.
Yeah.
So you just get your shit stomped and then dragged away by the cops.
Oh man, yeah. So come at me, Washington. I will invoke mutual combat law
On all of you simultaneously.
and then I'll throw fidget spinners at you. That's my special move.
Yeah, you've been sharpening that one up pretty hard.
Yeah.
Whittling it down.
I'm learning how to do ninja star shit with it. All right, I think that's probably pretty good. Anyone wants to plug anything, go right ahead, and then we'll get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, so I just turned 30 not too long ago, so I started a podcast. Yeah, so just getting it off the ground, but you should check it out. Right now it's just on SoundCloud. It's called Manifest Doh, D-O-H, and it's just me and my friends talking about different political manifestos or art manifestos, cultural manifestos. And yeah, it's fine, and I'm not asking for money, so listen to it.
Cool. Sarah, you got anything?
HeySaraJune.com, at HeySaraJune on Instagram, and come to my shows if you're in LA or Portland. Hopefully this will come out by that time, and watch Means TV.
Okay, Pod Damn America. That's this podcast. Okay, wow. The Pacific Northwest is really getting in my head. I just plugged the podcast we're on right now.
Have you heard about it, though? Pod Damn America, have you actually listened to it?
I heard some things on Reddit about it, and I heard that guy fucking sucks. And
Wait, do you have your own Reddit yet?
This podcast is the bane of Reddit. They hate us.
Well, Pod Damn Reddit, then.
It started off kind of funny, and now I get some pretty scary emails. Yeah. Sign up for our Patreon if you'd like to support the show and you'd like a bunch of our bonus episodes. There's a whole bunch of shit back there.
Yeah, pay out.
Tour dates, feraljokes.com, and on Twitter, it's my pinned tweet. And that's fucking it. Oh, Why You Mad? Listen to Why You Mad, my comedy anthropology podcast with Luisa Diaz. That's it. Just listen to all my shit. Just buy a bandana.
And
They're
send you
cool.
money.
Come to a show, buy a bandana. You can put it on a dog. They look cool as shit. It's finished.